The Ashanti Wars, a series of conflicts between the British Empire and the Ashanti Empire, also known as Asante, in what is now modern-day Ghana, marked a significant period in the history of West Africa. These wars, spanning from the early 19th century to the turn of the 20th century, were driven by a combination of economic interests, territorial ambitions, and cultural clashes. The beginning of these wars is rooted in the complex interplay of regional power dynamics, British colonial expansion, and the Ashanti Empire's quest to maintain its sovereignty and influence. The Ashanti Empire. The Ashanti Empire, founded in the late 17th century, was one of the most powerful and sophisticated states in West Africa. Centered in present-day Ghana, its capital was Kumasi. The Ashanti were known for their advanced political organization, rich culture, and formidable military prowess. The kingdom's wealth was largely based on gold mining and the lucrative trade networks that extended across West Africa. The Ashanti were adept at warfare, which helped them expand their territory and influence. They had a well-organized army equipped with modern firearms acquired through trade with European merchants, particularly the British, Dutch, and Portuguese. The Ashanti's military strength and strategic acumen made them a dominant force in the region. British colonial interests. The British interest in the Gold Coast, modern-day Ghana, was primarily driven by economic motives. The region was rich in natural resources, particularly gold, which attracted European traders and colonizers. Additionally, the strategic location of the Gold Coast made it an ideal hub for controlling trade routes along the West African coast. In the early 19th century, the British began to establish a more formal presence on the Gold Coast. They set up forts and trading posts along the coastline, seeking to protect their commercial interests and expand their influence. However, the British ambitions clashed with the Ashanti Empire's dominance in the region, leading to a series of confrontations. The First Anglo-Ashanti War, 1823–1831. The first major conflict between the British and the Ashanti Empire erupted in 1823, known as the First Anglo-Ashanti War. The immediate cause of the war was the Ashanti's efforts to assert control over the Fante people, who were under British protection. The Fante had long been adversaries of the Ashanti, and their alliance with the British heightened tensions. In 1823, the Ashanti launched an invasion into the coastal regions, seeking to subdue the Fante and challenge British influence. The British responded by sending a military expedition led by Sir Charles Macarthy. However, the British forces were ill-prepared for the campaign, lacking sufficient manpower and resources. The Ashanti army, under the leadership of Asantehene Osei Bonsu, decisively defeated the British at the Battle of Nsamanko in January 1824. Sir Charles Macarthy was killed in the battle, and his skull was reportedly used as a trophy by the Ashanti. The defeat at Nsamanko was a significant blow to British prestige and highlighted the military prowess of the Ashanti. However, the war did not end with this battle. The British regrouped and launched further expeditions against the Ashanti, seeking to avenge the defeat and reassert control over the coastal regions. The conflict continued for several years, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The Treaty of 1831. After years of intermittent fighting, the First Anglo-Ashanti War ended in a stalemate. In 1831, the British and the Ashanti signed a peace treaty, known as the Treaty of 1831. The treaty established a tenuous peace between the two powers, with both sides agreeing to cease hostilities and respect each other's territories. The Treaty of 1831 allowed the British to consolidate their hold on the coastal regions while acknowledging the Ashanti's authority in the interior. However, the underlying tensions between the British and the Ashanti remained unresolved, setting the stage for future conflicts. The Second Anglo-Ashanti War, 1863–1864. The uneasy peace established by the Treaty of 1831 did not last long. By the mid-19th century, the British had expanded their presence on the Gold Coast, establishing the British Gold Coast Colony. The increasing British encroachment into Ashanti territories reignited hostilities. In 1863, a dispute over trade and territorial control led to the outbreak of the Second Anglo-Ashanti War. The conflict was sparked by the Ashanti's attempt to reassert the dominance over the Asan, a people allied with the British. The British, determined to protect their colonial interests, launched a military expedition against the Ashanti. The war, however, proved to be inconclusive. The British forces, hindered by logistical challenges and unfamiliar terrain, were unable to secure a decisive victory. Similarly, the Ashanti, despite their military strength, could not drive the British out of the coastal regions. The war ended in a stalemate, with both sides agreeing to a temporary ceasefire. The Third Anglo-Ashanti War, 1873–1874. The most significant conflict in the series of Anglo-Ashanti Wars was the Third Anglo-Ashanti War, which took place from 1873 to 1874. The war was triggered by the Ashanti's refusal to recognize British sovereignty over the coastal regions and the continued raids into British-controlled territories. The British, now under the command of Sir Garnet Wolseley, launched a major military campaign to subdue the Ashanti once and for all. The British forces, equipped with modern weaponry and supported by naval bombardments, advanced into Ashanti territory. The key battle of the war was the Battle of Amoful in January 1874, where the British defeated the Ashanti army. Following their victory at Amoful, the British forces advanced towards the Ashanti capital, Kumasi. The Ashanti, recognizing the futility of further resistance, sued for peace. In February 1874, the British captured Kumasi and forced the Ashanti to sign the Treaty of Fomena. The treaty imposed harsh terms on the Ashanti, including the payment of a large indemnity and the recognition of British authority over the coastal regions. Conclusion. The beginning of the Ashanti Wars marked a tumultuous period in the history of West Africa, characterized by a fierce struggle for power and control. The conflicts were driven by the clash of two powerful entities, the British Empire, with its colonial ambitions, and the Ashanti Empire, with its determination to maintain its sovereignty and influence. The wars had far-reaching consequences, reshaping the political landscape of the region and paving the way for further colonial expansion in West Africa. Despite their eventual defeat, the Ashanti demonstrated remarkable resilience and military prowess, leaving a lasting legacy in the annals of African history.